So nice to see y'all. Thank you so much for coming in person, online. This is the last Sunday program of 2025. Who can believe it? So, yeah, I thought it would be nice to come together as a community today and just kind of look at the year that we just finished and maybe take a look at what our intentions are, what our vision is for the coming year. 2025 has been kind of a year of transition and change, newness. Some of us may know that according to the Chinese calendar, I think this was the year of the wood snake. So slithery and shedding old skins and assuming new ones. Maybe that resonates for you in some way, maybe not. It certainly was for Sweetwater. We kicked off the year in February with the Shinsan Shiki event. Maybe some of y'all remember that. It was the abbot transition ceremony. So our founding abbot and teacher, Seisen Roshi, stepped down and retired, and I stepped up and became abbot of Sweetwater, which, even though it was a slow, gradual change, it, still is a pretty notable shift in our culture and in our trajectory. And I guess what I really wanted to share as I reflect on my first year as abbot and all the things that have changed here over the past year is I'm kind of thinking of it in terms of the three tenets. And maybe y'all have heard us talk about the three tenets before. Echo Sensei talked about them last week. But the three tenets are kind of um, a general offering, a teaching of Zen practice that was coined and formulated by Bernie Glassman Roshi, who was our founding teacher's teacher. He was the first American transmitted Zen teacher in our lineage, studying with Maizumi Roshi. And so these three tenets are kind of his major basic offering of Zen teaching. And the three tenets are not knowing, bearing witness, and loving action. Um, and there's all kinds of ways that we can weave those three tenets together with, the three treasures, the three pure precepts, which are older, more ancient kind of traditional teachings. But these three tenets are really powerful. And of course, just like anything in Buddhism, these three tenets can be seen as cyclical, always changing, always interweaving. But in another sense, they can also be seen linearly. So, approaching our life from a place of not knowing, right? That's the first step. In Zazen, we cultivate not knowing, calming our minds, uh, noticing all of our judgments, filters, assumptions, and letting them go. That's kind of a one way to see what Zazen is, cultivating not knowing. And of course, the famous koan from Bodhidharma, not knowing is the most intimate. If we really want to be intimate with our lives, meet it from a place of spaciousness, emptiness, non knowing. So then, if we're looking at these three tenets linearly, we cultivate non knowing, and then from that place, we just bear witness, right? So, not uh, running everything through our filters and assumptions, but just receiving, just allowing, bearing witness to our lives, bearing witness to the joys and the suffering and everything in between, without knowing, without understanding, just this pure reception. And then, thirdly, uh, once we are bearing witness from this place of non knowing, then the right action, whether that's speaking, whether that's doing, whether that's not doing, whatever the most loving, compassionate action is, just kind of naturally arises. It's not based on a particular vision or trying to fit something into our narrative. We just let go of knowing, bear witness to what's going on, and then the right thing to do, the right thing, the loving that comes naturally from that will just arise. And I really like what Echo said last week of instead of saying loving action, just say loving. Just loving. Cultivate not knowing, bear witness to our life, and then allow loving to come out. It's really nice. And I think about that because I really resonate with that as my, as a new abbot, first year of kind of a new era at Sweetwater. And something that's coming up for me is that I kind of feel like I've been hanging out in the first two. So I really try to enter into this new role not knowing, not trying to be Seisen, not trying to be like some kind of specific thing, just allowing and then bearing witness to how this transition affects our community. Right? A lot of us are new, and it's hard to imagine that Sweetwater has been here for 25 years. A quarter of a century of practice and Sangha and people and residents and drama and glory and all the things. And so, it's kind of a big transition we had this year. And yeah, I've just kind of noticed for myself that I've really been hanging out in those first two, not knowing and bearing witness, and being patient with allowing that loving action to arise. Um, and yeah, sometimes I feel like um, I've been hanging back a little bit. And I think that's great. I love the feeling of that, the patience of that. And so I guess I really wanted to highlight that because I want to encourage all of us here to share that patience and to kind of rest in these first two tenets, so to speak. And of course, we've done a lot and we do a lot, and there's a lot of loving and a lot of action from our Sangha. But yeah, just an invitation as we move forward to just be okay, not just at Sweetwater, but in your own lives, to really just rest and trust, um, not knowing and bearing witness, and allowing loving action to just kind of arise on its own. We're so in our culture, we're so wrapped up in doing and being good and being right and let alone being seen as the person who does good, right? That's a whole other thing. But yeah, there's so much pressure to do and be the right kind of thing. And I think there's a lot of power in patience around that. And knowing that just that practice of cultivating not knowing and just bearing witness to what is in itself is an act of compassion. And as we've been kind of saying in our social posts recently, it's kind of like an act of rebellion against this culture that wants us to like do and be a certain thing. It really does offer a fresh way of approaching our lives to just simply bear witness and allow. So, kind of let that simmer. And the other thing I wanted to mention regarding the transition of leadership, the transition um, of this era, is that during the ceremony in February, someone asked me, there was like a question and answer period, and someone asked me, what can we do to support you as you take on this new role? And I just wanted to reiterate what my answer was, which was please feel empowered to call me out and call out other people from the Sangha. But to have and cultivate a culture where if something doesn't seem right, if a teaching doesn't jive with you, if something about the operations and the structure of the Zen Center feels odd or confusing or even harmful, I really want to make sure that we all feel safe and empowered to voice that. And, Zen in the past has really relied on a kind of patriarchal, top down power structure kind of vibe where a lot of people don't really feel safe to do that. And it's just kind of like, this is how it is, and this is what the abbot says, and this is what your teacher wants you to do, and so shut up and do it. And there's kind of a power in that. There's a good practice there, but also I think we're finding that it's very important that everyone feels supported in voicing rub and conflict and confusion. So I think that's going pretty well. A lot of people have called me out already on things, and it has really, for me, cultivated love and depth in my relationships with everyone in the Sangha and has led to positive change. So I just wanted to reaffirm and re-encourage us all to really, be free to speak your mind, speak your heart, and remember that there is a circle. We have a grievance circle called the Hear Circle, hearing, ethics, and reconciliation. Here. And they are always available if anyone has a grievance of some sort that they don't feel comfortable talking to me or another senior about. They are kind of a neutral, non members board or panel um, of people that are available to hear you out. So please feel free to uh, communicate with them and ask me how to communicate with them. It's totally open. Okay, so yeah, it's been a year of transition and change and growth. There's no doubt about it. Sweetwater is growing and the energy is percolating. We now have, I think, more members, like official members. We do have an official membership at Sweetwater Zen Center, and we have more members than we've ever had. And our Sundays are busier than they've ever been. Our tea and cookies last longer than they ever have. We have more social events than we ever have had. And so we have this energy of growth and expansion and change. And I just wanted to take this opportunity to, just make sure that everyone knows that it is because of you. Every little thing that you do, every little blade of grass that you have weeded around the property, every 30 minutes that you come and sit zazen, every Dharma talk you come and listen to, every question you ask is creating this place that is attracting people So I just wanted to kind of extend gratitude and make sure everyone knows that you're making a big effect. Every little thing you do is creating this space that is, creating or providing a spiritual space for people. And that ripples out. We know that, right? So you weed one blade of grass, and someone comes to the property and says, "Wow, what a beautiful place. I want to come here more." And so they do zazen and they get in touch with their anger, let's say, and then they're more able to, treat their students in the classroom with less anger. And then that kid is able to receive teaching better in school. And so now that one blade of grass that you weeded is affecting some kid's educational experience. And so just to know that everything that we do as a Sangha together really is, unbeknownst to us, unfortunately, really rippling out and creating compassion and wisdom in the world. So um, I hope that we have a sense of communal pride and joy around this growth that we are creating together. So a deep thank you, and a deep thank you to show you for showing up and being such a model of strong practice. Our new members, Nick and Kim, new residents, Michelle and Rebecca and Blair, and Meg is coming and sitting. I just wanted to kind of name, some people that have really been giving so much and offering so much energy to the space. A lot of our residents are stepping up and practicing a lot, and it's just really beautiful to see. And so I hope we end this year with a shared sense of, I don't know, empowerment. I really hesitate to say accomplishment because we're not really accomplishing anything. We're just creating love. And from my perspective, having been here for 20 years, it's very palpable. Let's see. We also had this year a really interesting resident transition. Um, Somewhere around the late summer, for those of you who don't know, we have 10 little casitas or cottages on the property. And I think for the first time ever, we had this very rapid resident transition. So half of our cottages got turned over in the matter of like 2 or 3 months. And we got some wonderful new residents. They've been bringing so much energy and enthusiasm and newness to the place. And I feel it. And I am encouraged and inspired by the energy that they're bringing. It's also, a tenuous situation to have half of your residential community change overnight, seemingly. Um, Also wanted to shout out Manny. I don't know if Manny's there, but Manny and Tay moved in July or August, and they took over some part-time staffing roles, and they've been a huge, huge help. So a big shout out to Manny for sure. Um, and so with a lot of this newness, new members, new people coming, new residents, new energy around the place, I just, wanted to kind of call out that it's such a ripe or such a fertile time to really make this place what we want it to be. We really are creating this place together. Um, Please give me a pause. I have to plug in my computer because it's about to die. That is my bad. Hold on, just sit for a second. Sorry. So sorry about that. Um, so just to reiterate that we really are in a position to make Sweetwater anew with all of this newness and all of this transition. And so I know we're all busy. We have a very beautifully ambitious Sangha, lots of students, lots of amazing careers and work that people are doing. Um, and hopefully, we're able to see that we have a lot of agency here at Sweetwater to grow. That's kind of, we are breaking through the seed and creating, new life here. And I also wanted to just say that for those of you who have been here a while, some of our more veteran practitioners, I really hope you feel empowered to, you know, step up and help shepherd with all of these new people and all of this new energy. Share your experience with Sweetwater, share your experience of Zen practice, share your gripes and your joys of your experience here. I know that uh, we would all just love to hear from everyone, and yeah, to share your experience and know that you are helping to shepherd along this new era, this time of change and transition. So with the new resident turnover, I also wanted to mention that we started this new program with the residency where we're offering practice scholarships for residents. And I wanted to mention that for transparency's sake, I think it's really important that an organization's finances and operations are really transparent. And so, whether it's relevant to you or not, I just kind of wanted to make public the fact that one of the things that we're doing with our finances is trying to really create a culture of practice at the residency, which we haven't always had. In the past, we've tried making practice requirements for the residents. We've tried being really hands off and just having no requirements at all. And so this year we tried something new, which was, if you commit to a certain amount of practice at the center and you're a resident, then you qualify for, just a small housing scholarship. Um, and I think I'm happy to report that it's been working really well. We have about 3 or 4 residents who have taken that opportunity. Um, and man, you can really feel it. You can really feel it. Every one of them has been sticking to their agreement, and their presence is so felt, and it's rubbing off on others, and it's deepening their relationship with me and with the center. And I think it's really working. So just wanted to let everyone know that we have that program available. And also, it's a good kind of koan to think about incentives, right? What a weird thing to like incentivize spiritual practice. And, I think what I have found much to, you know, uh, happily, I have found that the residents that are on this scholarship really seem to be practicing more because they're genuinely more deeply involved in their practice. I don't really get the sense that they're just like, I sat, give me my money. That would be the fear, right? Um, and so, yeah, it's good to think about what are our incentives for practicing. Um, just kind of wanted to offer that. What else from this year? If you remember, I took a few months to give a series of talks on Reverend Lien Shutt's book, Home is Here, which is a book about taking the basic teachings of Buddhism, the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path, and looking at them, reframing them from an anti-racist standpoint. And so she calls them the engaged Four Noble Truths and the engaged Eightfold Path. So I talked about that book for a number of months, and then we had the author herself, Reverend Leanne, come to talk with us. And so I really do hope to continue that work and approach our practice from that angle. Um, Racism, institutional inequity is really a problem that we face. And of course, now we have federal leadership that has demonized beautiful things like equity, diversity, and inclusion. So I think it's more important than ever that we, continue and find new ways to meet these challenges head on. Um, so yeah, that was some good work. Oh, and part of that section or series of talks I gave, if y'all remember, I presented this chart that kind of spells out the movement from an exclusive, potentially marginalizing culture of an organization, moving through stages to becoming an inclusive organization based on equity. And not just based on, but like manifesting equity. And so obviously that is a shift that we want to make. And there's, according to the chart, there's like 6 different stages that an organization can go through. Um, so, we're not like following that to a T, but I'm happy to reshare that chart with people and just also just reiterate my desire, at least, and hopefully we share it as a community to kind of slowly, compassionately, and wisely move in that direction and to be open and bear witness to how our structures, our tradition, our lineage, our habits as a Sangha, as a religion, as a practice, might still be stuck in some exclusive practices. I really hope to stay really engaged in that work. And then towards the end of the year, a big kind of development that went down is that we updated our mission statement, right? So every organization, every nonprofit has to have a mission statement registered through their bylaws with the government. And we had a really beautiful process. My teacher, our founder, Seisen, she's been talking about changing the mission statement for years. And it's such a big endeavor. We decided that this year, being a transition year, would be a good time to do it. So we had a group of about 8 or 9 of us who met over the course of 3 or 4 months, all to talk about one sentence. How do we create the best sentence to not only capture who we are, but what we want to work towards? So I think I sent it out to the members already, but just to kind of share it again as a Sangha, I will read our new mission statement. Our mission is a shared effort to provide access to the practices and transmission of our Zen Buddhist lineage, to nurture the evolution of its teachings, and to offer a refuge for collective awakening. So that is the sentence that came out of our work. And I just want to offer that, just like anything else, we can see this mission statement as a koan. It's koan practice. Koans are parables or teachings in the Zen tradition that we can sit with and embody, and hopefully it helps us not know, bear witness, and act lovingly. So, yeah, we can see this mission statement as our koan, as a Sangha. The mission is a shared effort. And we added that after some beautiful feedback from our members. One of the members, through the feedback process, said, is there a way to make the mission statement more community oriented as opposed to like organizationally oriented? How can we word it in a way that like we all take ownership of our mission? And I thought that was such a great, we all really thought it was a great, it's great feedback. And so we added that language that our mission is a shared effort. We are all responsible for our mission. Even just one blade of grass that you weed is helping carry out our mission. A shared effort to provide access to the practices and transmission of our Zen Buddhist lineage. So that's important. Sweetwater has always, served multiple roles for different people. Um, and so to understand that while we um, have parties and um, decorate cookies and explore different methodologies of healing and togetherness, ultimately, what is driving the center is this ancient lineage of Zen Buddhism, and that major decisions kind of have to be made based on that. Then it says to nurture the evolution of its teachings. Zen Buddhism is still a teenager in the West. We're still figuring out how to authentically embody this ancient practice in our own context, in National City, with jobs and families and mostly lay practitioners and a lay abbot who forgot to wear his rakusu today. I'm so sorry. We are, really doing some pretty exciting stuff, reimagining Zen Buddhism in a Western modern cosmopolitan context. That is definitely a lifelong koan. And then the end of it, to offer a refuge for collective awakening. Awakening together in every moment. What does that look like? How am I contributing to that? That's my practice. So that kind of, I'm going a little long-winded here. I'm sorry, but that kind of wraps up my view of this year of transition and growth. And as we look forward to 2026, I just wanted to highlight a couple things. Number one, we're going to be doing Jukai next year. Jukai is a rite of passage that you go through on the Zen path, where you, in the final ceremony, you receive your Dharma name, right? Like I'm Bobby Chowa, Chris Shoyu. Um, so you receive your Dharma name, and you also make or receive your rakusu, the little bib that people wear around Zen centers. And it's a ceremony where basically you are making a vow to practice the precepts, which is kind of like Buddhist ethical practice in a way. And you kind of, join the Buddhist family or the Buddhist stream. It's an old ancient tradition, taking refuge in the precepts, in the three treasures, and becoming a part of this ancient practice officially. And so we have a few people who want to and have really exhibited a commitment and dedication to this practice and feel ready to take on this rite of passage. Last time we did it was November 24. That was the last ceremony we had. So it's really exciting. It's really good for the Sangha. It's really nice to see people moving forward in their commitment to the practice. So, yeah, it's an invitation if anyone is interested in knowing more about Jukai or possibly participating in Jukai, please talk to me freely, ask any questions you have. The preparation process, in addition to sewing your rakusu, there's also a series of 9 or 10 classes that we will spread out over about 4 or 5 months. Those classes are open to anybody. These classes explore what Jukai means, and they're like a deep dive into precept practice. So those will be happening pretty much every other Saturday for the first half of the year. It's a beautiful practice, a beautiful chance to come together and share in these ancient teachings. And it's open to everybody, whether you want to actually take Jukai or not. So just wanted to throw that out there. And the other thing that's coming up that I'm kind of excited about is we're going to be kind of reinvigorating our council practice at Sweetwater. Last year or this past year, we kind of didn't really focus too much on council, but council is something that Seisin cared deeply about. She saw it as like a foundational pillar of Zen practice. Council is coming together in a circle and openly sharing from the heart, listening from the heart, not dialoguing, just fully, authentically sharing what's alive for me and hearing everybody with our whole body as if their words are our own. And it's a really beautiful, difficult, challenging, frustrating practice that really does cultivate intimacy in a community. And it's been a while since we put effort into developing our council practice. So I'm excited to do more council next year, talk about council more. And what really sparked this is a Dharma cousin of mine, Jitsujo Gautier, who's a teacher at Zen Center of Los Angeles. She's offering this year council retreats, almost like a session all about council and council practice. And so we have been able to secure her coming at the end of March for a 2 or 3 day council retreat. We're going to look at the ins and outs and in-betweens of what council practice is and what it can be and what it can do for a community. So last weekend of March, the 27th through the 29th, I hope we're all able to make note of that. And of course, we'll be promoting it. But it's going to be a really sweet deep dive into what council practice is. And I think that'll be a really nice flavor to sprinkle in for our Sangha this year. And I really look forward to having that deep sharing experience with everybody and bearing witness. It really is such a beautiful bearing witness practice, council. So those are kind of the two main things I'm looking forward to about this upcoming year. Of course, I really hope for everybody to feel more and more empowered to make this Sangha what you want it to be. So grateful for everyone's practice. I'm really excited hanging out in this not knowing and bearing witness place. I can just feel and see the love and the loving action coming up and blooming. And I'm so excited to do it with y'all. And thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. And